Peter, chapter
Second Peter.
3.
Yeah, Second Peter.
Yeah.
That's where it was.
Chapter
Right.
3.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's right.
Peter starts off there saying, look, Christ is coming back.
Yeah.
And then they kind of got into, if you read 2 Peter 3, chapter 3, they get into this discussion.
Yeah.
And the discussion starts because somebody comes up and says, I'm really not sure that there's going to be a second coming.
All right.
And the reason they say that, and I think I've heard that today a lot. They said, look, and remember now, this is what,
Yeah.
2,000 years ago?
Yeah.
And they say, you said Christ was coming back, but he hadn't come yet.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I had it marked. I lost place there. It's 2 Peter 3, verse 4.
Yeah.
And they will say, what happened to the promise that Jesus is coming again? From before the time of our ancestors, everything's remained the same since the world was first created.
Yeah. And so their
Well,
argument
nothing's
was
gonna change.
everything's
Yeah.
been the same, and
That's
we
right.
hear that today.
Yeah.
And what does Peter, he answers them and says, he says, hey, look, you forgot about one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
a few
things hadn't always remained the
That's
same.
right.
few things. He started out there in verse 5. He said, you forgot about how the heavens and the world was made with the command of God.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's,
Forgot about who created
That's exactly right. Then he said, you forgot about how God used water
to
to
destroy,
destroy it all.
Destroy it all.
And that really changed everything.
And there's no doubt that the people that he's talking to here, they knew the history of the flood.
And then he goes on to tell them, don't forget that the present heavens and earth have been stored up for fire. So there's
three things.
an end time coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does that remind you of something that people that look at have a worldview of Darwinism and evolution?
I know.
I hear that all the time. They say, hey, nothing's ever changed.
Basically,
it's all consistent.
That's right. Basically, by throwing out these ridiculous numbers like hundreds of millions of years, that's basically what they're saying. They're saying it's just infinite amounts of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the three things that Peter mentions there is three that they will deny.
That's right.
First of all, they deny God created, and Peter said, and you need to remember that. The second thing they deny
there's no doubt about
is
the
that
second
there
one.
was a catastrophic event
It changed
the
everything.
geography
Right.
of the earth.
Yeah.
I mean, before the flood,
That's right.
if we went back and could see the earth before the flood, we
That's
wouldn't
right.
recognize
No,
it.
not at all.
Not at
No.
all.
Maybe somewhat, but it's radically different.
Totally different. No doubt. Plate tectonics, the division of the continents,
Yeah.
when all this pressure of the water broke them up.
Yeah. Well, I just heard some scientists. I was watching this video a couple of weeks ago. If I can find it, I'll put a link up in the description. But they were talking about carbon dating. Carbon dating is actually extremely reliable to a point,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and that point corresponds with about
The
the
time
flood
the flood.
because everything changed.
Yeah.
So you're using things that you say, well, when you do carbon-14, you're just assuming things have always been the way
same.
they are right
You
now.
could
But,
continue it forward or
Yeah.
backwards, I guess, in there.
of course, these guys were really smart, and they explained it ways I can't. But
Yeah.
But the argument that these guys are making
Yeah.
in 2 Peter 3 is the same argument people are making today because they were devoted to the world.
Mhm.
that's right.
I mean, people that argued Darwinism and
That's right.
evolution, their devotion is to the world.
Well, you notice when he pointed out there those things they forgot about, it's interesting the language he used. Verse 5, he said they deliberately forgot about
Yeah.
these things because that's like you said, they're wrapped up in the world. They're involved in these, sexual immoralities and all these type things that they find pleasing. Their love of money and greed. And,
Why did they do it, and why do people do it now?
yeah.
People do it to justify what they want.
Oh, there's no
that's
doubt
right.
about that.
I mean, and that's what they were doing here. If you look at
Yeah.
the verses there that follow, Peter right
Yeah.
immediately after that says they were polluting
All right.
the gospel of Christ,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they were polluting it so they could justify what they believed.
Yeah. Well, they were just neck deep in the
Yeah.
ways of the world. Thank you for watching these clips from our latest episode of The Essential Truth. If you want to watch the full episode, just click the link in the description. It'll take you to our YouTube page. If you like our podcast, be sure to click the subscribe button and also click the bell. That way you get notified every time we put out a new episode. Thank you so much for listening. See you soon on The Essential Truth.